Today on Afghan Cooks, Bolani and Gorma, using the very humble potato. Patata. Let's make it. On my tray, I have all of the ingredients I need for this episode of 2 recipes, 1 ingredient. Potatoes, of course, because that's what we're using today. And here I have 5 russet potatoes. Feel free to use whatever potatoes you can get your hands on. Look, everything is super expensive right now, right? So what we're trying to do is economize, make sure that whatever we have, we're using, we're not throwing anything away. So in light of that, I have here some gandana, and this doesn't look the way you would find gandana when you buy it fresh. I froze it because if you look over here, I made a video on a gandana monkey bread. So you want to check that out. Cilantro, tomatoes, of course, onions and garlic. Voila. And we're going to use the spices from my spice bin. If you want to know specifically what spices should always be at the ready when you're making Afghan food, check this video right here. And now, with the magic of television, well, that was fast. We have to cook our potatoes, right? We don't want raw potatoes in our bolani, but because the idea of this is to do this all as easily as possible, without too many different steps, we are going to parboil half of the potatoes, right? Cook them so that they're almost completely cooked, and then take those out and continue to boil the rest of the potatoes for the bolani. We're going to add some oil to our pan, and don't forget all of the ingredients, the exact amounts are listed in the description down below, so you don't have to guess. I'm not like your Morakajano or your Khala or your Bibi who's going to say, Dugundi warwachawa, Sha, Dugundi warwachawa, Yawa Pela warwachawa, where a cup is like, could be this, right? Or could be this, who knows? When your oil gets hot, you're going to add your onion that you've cut up. And those of you who know, you know what the basics are of horma, right? Onion, garlic, spices, tomato, and you can horma anything. Literally anything. I don't care what you horma. You want to horma turnips? We have a recipe for that. You want to horma meat? We have a recipe for that. You know what we don't have a recipe for? We don't have a recipe for hormad tofu, which I think we should try. I mean, people are eating healthier, they're eating less meat, and while tofu is not an ingredient in Afghan cooking, why not? We should try it. If you think we should try it, leave me a comment down below, and let me know if you think I should horma tofu. Now you can see after about 4 minutes, you have to watch it, okay? Your onions start to turn opaque, meaning you can't see through them anymore. Some of them are starting to get brown. You don't want them to go too much more brown than this at this point. And now you're going to add your garlic, my tomato paste, and then my spices. Okay? We're going to open up our spice box, and we're going to add coriander. This is coriander. That's cumin. It doesn't matter. You're going to add both, okay? I'm going to add I'm going to add some whole cumin seeds as well, and a little bit of turmeric. That was not enough tomato paste in there, so this is the best way to buy your tomato paste, in a jar. It is a game changer for your life, okay? Game changer. Not kidding. If anything in your cooking sphere will help you, it is buying your tomato paste in a jar. No more half-used cans, no more trying to squeeze the last bit out of a tube. Deep red, you see that color on there? The reason why you cook your tomato paste first is you want to get some sort of depth of flavor. Like you've been cooking it for such a long time, you've used only fresh tomatoes, you know, but you've cooked it for hours and hours and hours on end. This is a little cheat, a little trick. The tomato paste is very concentrated, has a very solid tomato flavor, and then you cook it and it, After this is cooked, you're going to add your tomatoes. You want to stir all of this together. Make sure all of the tomatoes get covered in those spices. Sno malga al murchak. We're going to add our salt and pepper. Everyone should have a cute little salt box here. Because why not? You should have cute things in your kitchen. Of course, you can also just have like stuff that is functional, but why not have some cute things too? I'm really concerned about my sleeves. I have to do it like this because I'm concerned that my sleeves will go into the fire. And then I will catch on fire. Now, to actually loosen up the horma and help everything along and make it into a rich gravy, I'm going to add some water. And then we're going to cover this and let it simmer while we go back to looking at and working on our potatoes. So I took half of my potatoes out, and they are cooling because we're going to finish those up inside the horma. That is also, I keep pointing back there, it's back there, simmering on the stove to develop those flavors. And then the other half, I let boil for a very long time until they turned into this. So they're very, very soft. You can see they just mush very easily. Mushing is the technical term. I think that if you went to culinary school, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think it's called mushing. So now we've got this. We've mushed them up. We've got some texture in there still. And to this, we're going to add our chopped gandana. And then our cilantro, okay? I recommend, although these dresses are fantastic, that you, on a general basis, do not cook in your home with sleeves like this. Looks great on camera, but for your purposes, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, we're going to mix all of this together. And now we're going to add our spices. We're going to add our salt, namak, malga, and potatoes, you know, eat salt up. In fact, if you ever add too much salt to a dish, throw a potato in. It'll soak up that salt. Murach, black pepper, about a tablespoon of olive oil because we want there to be some moisture, some fat, something delicious instead of all this dry stuff on the inside. And then for our spices, in this case, we're just going to add the Char masala. Oh, you want to know how to make Char masala? I think you can go right there and learn how to make it. That's not Char masala, that's sumac.
What just happened?
So I didn't add Char masala because this is my Char masala. I just made it. I added sumac, which is another very delicious essential Afghan spice. And we're going to keep it. We're going to keep that in there. We'll mix all this together. Then we're going to let this cool because you don't want to put it hot inside your bolani. Then we're going to fill our bolani. Now we're going to fill our bolani. We're going to take a spoonful. Make sure you make it nice and flat, but fill it, okay? Now, if you don't use sumac, your potatoes are going to be white. They're not going to be purple. But that's okay. These things happen. You have a bowl of water so that we can crimp these closed. These two are done, and now I'm going to go on and make the rest. Now that the bolani are done, we can move on to finishing up our horma. Now we're going to add our potatoes that are almost all the way cooked back into our horma. You can see how deep and red and thick that horma has become. You can see the oil has started to separate from it. It's perfect. This is perfect. Now we're going to let the potatoes finish cooking for about 5 to 7 minutes. They're almost completely cooked. We just want to make sure you don't... Raw potato, raw potato, raw potato. Okay, we'll be right back, and then we're going to plate it all up. If you like this video and you're already here watching it, please subscribe. We are very soon going to go on like this whole subscriber rally thing where we're going to try to hit X number of subscribers, and it would be super helpful if you could get us there. We're thinking of being super ambitious and doing like 100,000 by January 1. And what we're trying to do on this channel is to bring you Afghan food, Afghan cuisine. There are lots of really wonderful channels out there that teach you how to make authentic Afghan cuisine. The problem is a lot of them are not in English, right? They're made for people who are native speakers. which is great. But a lot of us didn't grow up in our homelands. We grew up in other countries where English is the primary language. And so we need to learn how to learn how to cook in the language that we grew up in. So it would be super helpful if you would subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know every time we have a new video, and give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and leave us a comment because YouTube likes it when you like us. Until next time.